swipe collision forces client's body to torque over into the passenger seat, which results in herniations and disc injuries. Hello and welcome to this week's Client Victory here at Shane Smith Law. I'm Shane Smith, and today we're talking with Thomas Oswald, one of the attorneys here at Shane Smith Law. We're going to talk about his recently settled case, AW. So Thomas, tell us about AW's case. How did the accident occur?
So AW was just driving along, going through an intersection or approaching an intersection. She came to a stop at a red light, and then another driver came along from beside her and apparently didn't see her and sideswiped her and knocked her from her driver's seat, not completely into the passenger seat, but jolted her body pretty severely up against the center console and the armrests that were inside her vehicle, causing her some injuries there.
So a lot of times people feel like a sideswipe collision is maybe not as serious as a rear end collision or maybe a T-bone. How are the injuries here in this particular case for Miss AW?
Yeah, you hear that a lot in terms of insurance companies trying to denigrate what goes on with the sideswipe, but they can definitely lead to severe injuries, and that's what we saw here. What AW had was, after she was taken from the scene of the accident by ambulance to the ER, she went to the chiropractor, went to a couple of pain management specialists, and eventually was connected with an orthopedic surgeon who did an MRI. When she had that MRI, realized that there were several herniations to her lumbar spine. And so that's what ended up happening here. So kind of when her lower body stayed still in the motion and her upper body basically bent over. Yeah, wow. It's like, kind of whipping motion almost with her lower back versus the typical kind of, upper spine whiplash that somebody thinks of.
And one of the things I've learned is, the spine is actually, for most of us, it's designed to go forwards and backwards. But, if you go to the left or right, we don't have nearly as much mobility as going in that direction. So if she got hit that hard, it's pretty easy to see why her injuries were so severe in that twisting sort of motion. Especially as we get older, that gets harder and harder, I found.
Definitely.
And you said she ultimately got an MRI. So what was her treatment path overall? Because it sounds like it took a little while to find out exactly what was going on.
Yeah, there's a long winding road with this one, because she was treating at a pain specialist through her health insurance, and she had been treating there for several years for neck pain. Never had any lower back pain at all in her life, was treating there for neck pain, but they weren't addressing the lower back pain. So she got connected with another pain management specialist in Greenville. And there wasn't really much in terms of, let's find out exactly what's going on here to do something to stop and mitigate this pain. Let's just find a way to control it, so that, essentially you're relying on injections to control your pain for the rest of your life versus getting something that's going to stop your pain. So she tried those pain management specialists for a while. We actually had gotten ready to submit her case to the negotiation process, and we found out she was still really in a lot of pain. So she was able to get connected with an orthopedic specialist for a second opinion. And when she got connected with him, there was an MRI that was ordered, and that showed us what was really going on here for the first time in the case. It took some time to get there, just because sometimes you have providers that for whatever reason, don't really want to see what's going on inside the body. They just want to kind of control the pain that's manifesting itself outside the body.
Yeah, that's something we run into, which is one of the reasons why we like to see MRIs, because we want to know what the actual injury is. Or I know we've done some brain scans in the past to diagnose and find out what the problem is. And usually we get clients tell us they have a big sense of relief, at least just knowing what's going on there, versus just, oh, I hurt, but I don't know why. I also think some of our clients, they talk to doctors, and some doctors will be like, well, I can't find anything that's wrong. Or, maybe they worry their friends and family, don't see anything that's causing them injuries. And then we get this test result back and it says, well, here's the injury right here on an MRI. I think it sort of makes it, wow, I really am hurt. That sort of sense of relief that it's not all in their head kind of deal, especially when they've had to treat for a long time. So I'm glad you were able to get her into somebody who could get an MRI, and glad she got some answers. Ultimately, were you able to get this case resolved and settled?
Yeah, we were. After we found out that she had the herniated discs in her lumbar spine and there was that much damage that had happened there, We ended up getting it resolved for the full policy limits here, which were $100,000. And we were also able to get her some treatment that ended up really just finally bringing her pain to an end. She's a 32-year-old young lady, and like I said, herniated lower back injuries, and she received what's called an annuloplasty with disc decompression. And just to kind of explain what that is, it's basically the surgeon goes in a minimally invasive procedure and cauterizes the disc wall, because that's what happens with a herniated disc. You have those tears in the disc wall, and sometimes you can have that fluid leaking out, or causing some inflammation in different ways. So the surgeon goes in and cauterizes, or kind of burns and brings that, kind of puts scar tissue over that. And that's what she had happen here. And she went from telling me that she was wearing a back brace to work every day, being very lethargic and kind of depressed in terms of how she communicated about her injuries, to just being really, overjoyed is the best way to describe it in terms of talking with her about it.
So it sounds like she 100% supports, I guess, the treatment she received, and said ultimately it was the best thing for her. It sounds like it.
Absolutely. And she never wanted to have some kind of procedure or some kind of surgery, but ultimately sometimes it's what you got to do to get better. And it really worked out well for her here. So I'm very thankful for that.
I was going to say, when you use the word overjoyed, that's about the results of a procedure. That's what we want to hear, because that, says it was all worth it, because sometimes clients are concerned, or they're stressed, or they hear surgery, and, they, nobody wants to do surgery. I don't meet people that want to do surgery, I guess is what I'll say. But it sounds like overjoyed. It was a wonderful thing for her, I guess is what I'll say.
Yeah, she got some answers and got some pain relief, and she's back to living the life she should be living in her prime as a 33-year-old young lady now.
Wow, well, that's amazing, Thomas, and great result. To our listeners, hit like and subscribe down below. Stay tuned for more client victories from Shane Smith Law. Remember, if you're in pain, call Shane, 980-999-9999.
In pain, call Shane.
Oh, yeah.
980-999-9999. 980-999-9999. Shane Smith Law. In pain, call Shane.